Intellectual Property Right, Royal Danish Embassy, New Delhi. Mr. Sashi Kumar Muthusamy, Senior Director, Engineering and Site Leader, Collins Aerospace. Dr. Anand Gole, Associate Vice President, R&D Coromandel. And Mr. Manish Deshmukh, Marketing Head, India and Global Merrill Group of Companies. Can we have a round of applause, please? Thank you. Now I'll hand it over to Mr. Jain to take the session forward. Thank you.
Hello, 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 yes.
Before we begin, just wanted to inform all the delegates that we'll be having the roundtable on Invest in Your Future and Intellectual Property Masterclass from 3:15 p.m. at Elior Hall. So whosoever are interested in for that roundtable, we request you to kindly proceed accordingly. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, we can feel the lunch effect. Okay, let me start again. Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, good. So actually, people say that the session before lunch is very challenging. I, in fact, say that, before lunch, you're hungry for food and knowledge. So you pay more, you concentrate more. Post-lunch, sleep agents will take over after food when your stomachs are full. So it's going to be a challenge on us to keep the session exciting. And let me assure you, I have a fantastic panel with me who will make the session very exciting and insightful as we discuss technology trends and where India stands. Now, in the morning, we had some very, very good keynote addresses by distinguished speakers who spoke about mega shifts in technology. Devjani kind of alluded how the technology landscape is changing very rapidly and some mega trends are visible. Now, coming from a technology space, I find the time very exciting. And I would say I'm lucky because this is the second era I'm seeing of technology shift happening. The first one was at the turn of the century when internet opened up and .com took off, but it also created a lot of innovation in telecom networking technologies, in e-commerce and so on. Now we are seeing a new space of AI coming in, and it is the pace with which the technology is changing and developing is staggering. And AI alone is not making a difference. There are a lot of other technologies also that are getting benefited because of this. We have seen cybersecurity, we are seeing material science, we are seeing molecular biology, we are seeing data centers, next generation data centers, and so on. So this is truly a very, very exciting time. And as a country, India is wanting to be a global player in this ecosystem. And we have things happening in the country. We heard some of the speakers talk about what is changing in our country. We have the government getting very active in providing funds to the startups and academia. We have ANRF, we have RDI, we have India AI Mission. So a lot of things are happening. We have the very robust startup ecosystem that is taking shape in the country, in multiple centers across the country. But truly speaking, we still have a distance to cover. And today in this session where we are going to talk about technology trends and how India can become a global key player, I'll have my fellow panelists share their views, insights in terms of what we should do to make ourselves a global player. So with that, I'll start the session by asking all the panelists to dwell upon what one technology trend that they are very excited about. Because we have people from the industry, we have people from the intellectual property arena. So they are studying technologies and the application of technology in their respective spaces. So what is the one trend that they're truly finding exciting, and how do they see that particular trend position India strongly? So we'll start with Shashi. If you can also introduce yourself and dwell on the technology trend that you are excited about.
Good afternoon. Myself Sasi, and I'm part of Collins Aerospace. And Collins Aerospace makes most of the systems in the commercial aircraft, and we also kind of play in defense. So it's part of the RTX group. And I'm not sure how many of you know RTX. It's the world's largest aerospace and defense company in terms of the volume. And so we have a major operation in Bangalore, both from an engineering product development as well as our factories in Bangalore. And I have over 25 years of experience pretty much in the aero engines and aerospace systems domain. So when it comes to the technology trends in the aviation field, I would say there are two major technology trends. Post-COVID, it is sort of accelerating. One is around sustainability, other one is about the digital adoption. So I will talk about sustainability in this section, probably the digital adoption I'll talk about later. And from sustainability, there are few dimensions to it. Often, we directly link sustainability with the carbon emission, right? So that's where the engines in an aircraft plays a big role in the carbon emission unrelated to sustainability. There are a lot of work happening in the domain globally on finding the alternate fuels, so including the biofuel, what we call the sustainable aviation fuel. And currently, most of the modern engines which are flying right now are certified to be compatible with the biofuel, which are certified right now. It can run with biofuel. The challenge is all about making the biofuel in a large scale, and it is available to the engine in the aircraft. That's one. And the second on the alternate fuel is about hydrogen combustion. There's a lot of research activities happening on proving that it's viable for airworthy applications. And again, there are challenges around the systems. How do we ensure the hydrogen is stored in a sub-zero temperatures and then hydrogen is available for combustion, right? So that's another thing. As a trend which is emerging, maybe a medium to long term, you'll see more hydrogen combustion happening in the aviation. So that's around the fuel. The second one, big change, what we are seeing is the electrification of the system. So I'm not saying the electrification of entire plane. Maybe that's the long term here. You'll see 10 years, 20 years from now, maybe a fully electrified propulsion kind of coming into an aircraft. But currently, there are a number of systems who support the aircraft, like the actuation systems or the pumps and valves, and these are hidden. As a passenger, you won't see. All these are now getting into more and more electrified systems from pneumatic and hydraulic or the mechanical system. So that's happening. Just to bring in a few perspectives on where India stands in these systems, I can tell you in Collins in Bangalore, we have recently launched the state-of-art electromechanical test labs, which enables our engineers to come up with the new concepts of these electrified systems and then build a prototype, test and qualify. If we successfully qualify and then certify these systems, it's a big opportunity for us in India to make these products from India, right? So that's what we are looking at from an electrified systems. The third one on sustainability is the materials, right? Often we don't link, when it comes to a carbon emission, it's not intuitive for us to link with the materials, but materials play a big role in carbon emissions. And so typically a modern aircraft like the 777s or 380s or 350s, the actual structural weight is about 100 tons and 120 tons. That's the structural weight we are talking about. And if we look at 5% of that, we convert into more sustainable lightweight materials, and then we can easily save about tons of weight for the structure. So it means the less fuel burn and less carbon emission, right? There are a lot of research focusing on how do we bring in more and more lightweight, highly durable composite structures into the aircraft. And more recently, I see a trend on sustainable composites called the thermoplastics, right? So these are the materials we can easily stamp and make apart, and highly durable. And more importantly, during the end of the life of the component, you can sort of recycle the material and then rebuild to some other component, right? So there are a lot of research happening across the globe for the thermoplastic composites. So these are the sort of dimensions of sustainability drive within aviation.
Thank you, Sasi. Anand, your views.
Hello, good afternoon to you all, and thanks CII for this opportunity. Morning there was a fantastic session, and afternoon we had lunch. So lunch was good, and the food that came from farmers. And most likely the fertilizers that were used were one of the fertilizer companies. So I am part of Coromandel International. We are into fertilizers and agri inputs. So I am Anand Gole, and I am a PhD in physics with specialization in nanotechnology. After PhD, I was out of India for about 6 years. Spent time with Tata Chemicals on returning to India for about 9 years. And now, since past 7 years, I'm with Coromandel International. Coromandel is an agri-inputs provider. We are India's largest phosphatic fertilizer company in the private sector. About 4-5 million tons of fertilizers we produce. We have 18 manufacturing locations. And we are a major player in pesticides. So my colleagues, we have a stall there. You can visit there to get more information. One of the recent feathers in our cap is nano fertilizers. So there's a lot of talk about nano fertilizers, and we have developed nano diammonium phosphate and nano urea, and they are doing very great. Since 2023, we are selling them. So one of the technologies I would like to say, which is a game changer for, I'm talking from an agriculture perspective, because 60% of India's population is engaged in agriculture and allied services. So one of the game changers is how do we enhance the efficiency of nutrients or agri-inputs. So any technology that can enhance that is going to be a game changer. So nanofertilizers is one of them. So we bank a lot upon nanofertilizers. Of course, there are other technologies like slow-release fertilizers, other liquid fertilizers, and new technologies. So essentially, all these new technologies would be a game changer. Now, why would they be a game changer for India? Is because if you see, all the raw materials that are used to make fertilizers are imported. So rock phosphate comes from Morocco and other Arabic countries. Urea is also imported. We manufacture urea to some extent, but we also import it. And potassium is also imported. So major NPK fertilizer, everything is imported. If we are able to enhance the efficiency of fertilizers, like nano fertilizers, then we can potentially reduce the use of all these bulk fertilizers to 25 to 50%. So this is a big game changer, not only from a perspective of farmers, but also from perspective of India, because today government pays about 2 lakh crore subsidy, and that subsidy amount can be reduced, imports can be reduced, and the best part is only India is a leader in this technology, nano fertilizers. We can export this technology, and of course many of the companies are working on that, and so we can export this technology outside India, since we are the pioneers. And a great work done by the Government of India, Department of Biotechnology, partnering with industries as well as the Department of Agriculture and Fertilizers to bring such regulations. So India has developed these regulations, the first in the world, and that's why this is a game changer totally for India. So with that, I would just like to say that these are the few areas that I feel are going to change the whole perspective. Thanks.
Thank you, Anand. Louise, what excites you on the technology side?
Well, to be honest, many things. Because my name is Louise, and I am the IPR counselor from the Danish embassy. So as an IPR counselor, of course, I'm not looking at just one technology. If I was, it would be molecular biology, which is where my PhD is from. But looking at IPR is a more holistic view on technology and technological evolution. And when I'm looking at India, I'm of course also looking at Denmark, and I'm looking at the Green Strategic Partnership between Denmark and India, which has been ongoing for several years and is looking to be renewed and even deepened in the coming years. And with that, then I want to say that one of the technology evolutions that really excites me, and where I think India could make a huge mark, is in the whole, again, a nod to the sustainability, because it's in the green electricity and it's in the production of sustainable energy, because everybody is talking about AI, huh? But what we're maybe not talking about so much is the insane amount of energy that AI consumes. And we need to find a way to make sure that we can produce that. And as a lot of the discourse in the Western world, in Europe, is kind of going a little bit against talking about sustainability, talking about green, I really think that this is a niche where India could really find a good spot, and where they could where you have a great platform to stand on with the climate you have, with the enormous space, with the whole population you have. There are so many different areas on the whole green energy that you could really expand on, and I think that's also where we're trying with the Green Strategic Partnership between Denmark and India, is to try to bring some of those solutions that also Denmark is known for to play in the much larger scale and scope that is India.
Thank you, Louise. Manish?
Yeah, good afternoon, and thank you, CII, for this opportunity. My name is Manish Deshmukh. I have been doing medical devices for last 30 over years. I've seen the way technology, in fact, the medtech industry has been evolving, and the technologies that currently are being put to use are phenomenal. So, for example, here I'm supposed to tell you what is it that is one technology which excites me. It's a little difficult question to answer, but if I start, let's say, anything happens, first is your tests, and I'm sure all of us would have taken some blood test or the other in life. So it starts at the diagnostics level. The other part is if there is a surgery, so if not some medicine, so that is pharma. If there is a surgery, then that has also got few novel technologies to do a surgery. There are technologies like navigation, technologies like robotics, which are there in surgery. And post that is, of course, post-operative rehab, which again is medicines and some other devices and so on, and monitoring devices and so on. Now, within this whole gamut, there is so much that happens in medtech. Everybody is talking about AI, so if I just want to touch, then you just take a simple chest X-ray and AI will immediately help you detect if you are COVID positive or not. So that's the power of AI. And likewise, the technology that really excites me, I know there are some of my colleagues also somewhere here. They don't know which I'm going to talk about. And in the morning, Madam Ghosh did speak about it, and that is CRISPR as a technology. Yeah. Now, why does it excite me? If you look at India, we are already a diabetic capital. We are also a capital for cardiac diseases. But we are becoming very big with 10.5 million cancer patients. We call it the big C. The difference between all these diseases is there is a reason why a disease happens. The reason is identified. And once you know the reason, you know how to tackle it, whether it is medicine or surgery or whatever. Big C is one of the things where you don't know why there is a rapid cell growth which happens. And everybody is guessing in this field. So CRISPR is one technology which, as an organization, Merrill is introduced. They've done some initial clinical trials. Now this technology is something where you do a DNA programming or DNA manipulation, whatever you may call it. Now what happens is you just take the blood or fluid sample from your body, we process it, and we try and find out which is the trouble cell. And then the process is done so that there are some other constructive cells which are built in that. And again, a small syringe infusion is done to the patient, and that's it. Now what happens is a rapid cells growth starts there, the good cells, and then they actually demin, or the cancer causing cells become very small in proportion. And this is what we call it, in true sense, eradication of cancer. Right now, this has been very successful in blood cancers. There is a lot of work on some RNA vaccines and then solid tumors that is also going to be taken up. But this is one area which truly excites me.
Thank you, Manish. So it's very it's very pleasing to know that, typically when you go to conferences these days, the AI conversation overshadows everything. And, we got to hear nanotechnology, we got to hear CRISPR technology, we got to hear sustainability, material science, we got to hear about energy management. So there are a lot of other areas that actually need attention, and India as a country is pivotal in this global ecosystem of how to build capabilities into this and be a key player. Now, coming to a point that Sasi, you made, you talked about manufacturing, digital adoption in manufacturing. Now, a related development is obviously the advent of AI. Coming into manufacturing, people are talking about how AI can impact that. We all know that AI has a natural affinity towards software, and I think it's getting understood how AI will impact software. But when it comes to product engineering and manufacturing, and when you look at digital and AI together, how do you see this entire space playing out, and where do you think Indian companies can actually have a leadership here?
Yeah, sure. I'm sure we're all excited about AI, and in many conferences I've attended, there is no session ends without talking about AI, at least a word of AI, ML, right? So that is the level it is. As well as I see that the post-COVID, the adoption of AI into every field is highly accelerated. And aerospace is no immune. I was always thinking that aerospace being a highly regulated industry, rightfully so for safety reasons, that it would gradually adopt, but there's no chance, So we have to take along on the stream. When it comes to product of like AI-based product into the aircraft, just a question to all of you. So how many of you would be really excited and you take a plane which is not operated by a human pilot, it's just an autopilot? How many of you would take such plane? No one?
Maybe with the current crisis, they may.
Right. I think no explorers or risk takers here. But by the way, so it is going to be a long way before we go and put an AI-based code into any of the products which are certified to get into the aircraft, right? So currently, there are a lot of research happening in the field of product engineering into aerospace and aerospace systems, which is going to take a long time for us to really come up with so much of validation, verification of the software and how the software get into the product and the product failure mechanisms, everything we have to thoroughly analyze. And we need to work with the certification agencies to understand these mechanisms and come up with a certification criteria so that we can put the such AI-based product into the aircraft. At the same time, there are a lot of other areas of AI ML adoption, rather a broader digital adoption in the world of aerospace. This includes the whole gamut of the technology stack you talk about, AI ML, AR, VR, to digital twin, IoT, right? A whole gamut of technologies are being adapted. The early adopter in the aerospace is the aftermarket, the sales and services side. So there are a number of products right now which are flying right now. So we monitor the real-time health, right? 24/7 real-time health of those products. It could be an engine, it could be a structural integrity of the aircraft or the cockpit systems, to some of the safety critical systems like power generation units, to oxygen systems, right? So many safety critical systems are having a lot of sensors. We take the data and then we analyze and we build those digital twins to do the PHM, the product health monitoring real time. So that really helps us to understand these issues ahead of time and ensure that we can fix those, and the fleet is always available for the airliner to continue to operate, as well as enhance the service life of those products, right? So that's one early adoption I see. The second one is about the industries. IoT plays a big role in modernizing our factories, and things like bringing in more cobots into industry, to doing a lot of inspection, incoming raw material inspection, all the way to the product and component inspection, which we deliver to our customers. We see a lot of AI adoption there, as well as managing the supply chain, right? And post-COVID, the supply chain globally becoming very interesting for us to navigate through, because aerospace depends on supply components, raw materials, or finished goods come across the globe, multiple countries, and we have to manage that. So from a supply chain logistics, AML plays a big role right now. We have so many AML-based applications which helps us to navigate the supply chain challenges more wisely. Then the very recent adoption of AML is on the productivity, right? It's functional productivity. It can be engineering or any other function for that matter, manufacturing, engineering to finance, HR. So we see a huge play of AML into improving productivity. Coming to design, where the team I lead, so we build a lot of advanced design systems which are more AML based. It brings the legacy knowledge to the designers when it is available. And we build a lot of simulations, advanced simulations, starting from a system level all the way to the component level. So that will help us to validate whether it's a software systems or a mechanical system. We can build a lot of simulations. So it means it brings more robustness to the product as well as it shortens the overall product life cycle. So those are another aspects of into the product side.
Anand, would you like to?
Yeah, he spoke most of the things about how it can be used in manufacturing. I'll talk about how it can be used in productivity to enhance the productivity, not about the, about the products is one thing, about the farm, so agri productivity. This is a segment called precision agriculture, where there are a lot of sensors embedded. So this mostly happens outside India, but now I can see it happening even in India. Where there are huge land holdings in the West, and there are sensors embedded inside the soil. They give the input to the farmer, who is sitting in an AC cabinet, and he can just by push of a button he can put the nutrients or pesticides, whatever is required, as per the sensor signals. A lot of drones. Drones are used in mapping the quality of soil, mapping if there are any deficiencies. So we also have acquired a drone company, Daksha. So we looking at how that can be used for surveillance, mapping, and also delivery of nutrients and those kind of things using the modern tools. That's something that we look at, and predictive models. That's something which is very upcoming, because if you are able to predict what will be your crop yield, marketing team can use this as a very good advantage. You use X, Y, Z, and you apply this at this rate, and you will get assured returns. So that is something what can be useful as AI.
Thank you, Anand. Louise, let's switch tracks a little bit towards intellectual property, right? So we had conversations in the morning, people talking about intellectual property, how as a country we need to increase our adoption of intellectual property systems and file them. Globally, we seem to have improved a lot in terms of filing, but when it comes to really innovating using intellectual properties, we are lagging, right? So, and based on what we have seen with the European Union, what we have seen with Denmark, which is the leader now in intellectual property, and how they use that for innovation, what would be your advice to India? What needs to change? Second, you also spoke very interestingly about how do you respect intellectual property of other countries as you do incremental innovation. So what would be your guidance on some of those areas? Because these are pivotal to you becoming a global player.
Definitely, thank you. So first of all, I think I'll probably start more on your second question and talk about the respect for innovation, because India, being a relatively new nation in being independent, also has a relatively new sort of look at the whole intellectual property, and one of the things, as India is moving from a developing country to becoming a developed country, and bringing forth all of that power and all of those capabilities that you're in possession of, is also that mindset change from the more sort of societal benefit to also having the respect for the inventors and for the innovation that's happening in the country, and consequently also for the innovation that is happening in the countries around the world and around you. So I think India is moving on that track. Is not quite there yet. But I think having that understanding that if you are an innovator, if you are doing research and development, you're investing a lot of resources in developing well, new technologies, whether it's in medicine or aerospace or farming, all of it is, it takes a huge investment, and that investment, the whole IP system is there to sort of ensure that you as an inventor have a chance to recoup some of that investment, right? So, and there I think India has started moving from, well, anything that's invented should benefit society immediately, to more of, well, we need to encourage innovation by actually giving the people investing in innovation a chance to make back their investment before we're sort of letting everybody use it. So that's part of it, and that's something that is basically the basis for Denmark's stance at where it is, because there's a very strong respect for the innovators in the Danish society, and there's a very strong IP system that favors the right holders to a very large degree. And that's how we get a extremely strong pharma industry. That's how we have a very strong wind industry, shipping industry. All of these are technologies that build on innovation.
Any guidance, Louise, on the regulatory aspect of intellectual property as we get mature on this aspect as a country?
Well, I think one of the things, of course, in India is the, I mean, by and large, India's IP legislation is in line with what it is around the world. It's overall, it's what we call TRIPS compliant. Of course, there are a few little things, especially in the patent legislation, that makes it more difficult for innovators to actually get protection for their rights. And those would be some of the exceptions from patentability, some of the exceptions mentioned in Section 3 of the Patent Act, most famously, of course, the Section 3D, which is making it more than normally difficult to actually make incremental innovation and actually be allowed protection for said innovation. So, and other than that, I just wanted to put into the comment that when you have this strong IP system, that will also encourage the private companies to invest more in research and innovation, and you can have, it will be easier to also generate these public-private partnerships where you can use some of the academic excellence in the country, which you also have in India, and then having that academic excellence and ingenuity translated into real-world products by collaborating with industry, which I think is also another part of why Denmark is where it is today. We have very excellent public-private partnerships.
Excellent point and very pertinent, Louise. How do you make sure that you are able to benefit out of the IP that you file and have that partnership, public-private partnership to encourage the industry to get more involved in that? Manish, from the health tech perspective, and you have been in this industry for many years, you have seen the evolution of the health tech space, the digital advent of digital into it, now AI is being spoken about it. A question I have for you is, much like telecom revolution that happened in India where we leapfrogged, right? We did not have a great landline system, but then we just leapfrogged into wireless and we took an advantage of upcoming technology. Do you see India leapfrog in the health tech space similarly? And what would be your views? What would we need to do to take that leapfrogging in health tech?
Yeah, a great question. Even when the telecom boom happened, there were few things which happened, and as you know, we've sourced quite a bit of components to make sure that the technology is novel and that it is adopting more to the Indian scenario, and that's how we became unique. We are still today the largest telecom network globally. That said, I just want to put a few statistics in perspective. Like, India is like a global pharmacy for the world. We supply something like 20% of the APIs across the globe. We are more than 10,500 pharmaceutical companies, and the kind of revenues and the business that it does is phenomenal, humongous. Okay. Now that said, there is an AI even on that angle. Um, Again, when it comes to surgeries, what I feel is before the surgery also, let's talk about diagnostics part. In diagnostics, there are many devices where AI has been put to use, and it is all about software. And India, definitely, Indian software techies are there, not just in India, but globally. They are spread across, maybe even half of Palo Alto, you will find Indians. With that, I think I see, and with the recent change that someone else in the US has done it, I think the talent needs to stay back and do a lot of work out here. So the action that I see and the way we collaborate, for example, about our own organization, if I have to just mention one line here, we collaborate with two IITs. One is IIT Chennai that was talked heavily this morning. The Techno Park, we have a big setup out there. And a lot of these IIT engineers, they are generally either double graduates or PhDs or MTechs, and they are doing our robotic development in-house. So that's a big thing that we are doing. The second tie-up that we have is with IIT Kanpur, and it is total the AI workhouse. The workhouse of Merrill is all done from IIT Kanpur. There are only about 30 odd people who are sitting there, but they are training my AI model. The GPU is back home in our headquarters, which is in Vapi, Gujarat. And every single day, the AI is getting trained. So the huge amount of work actually is happening. Now, these people have also made some devices in AI. For example, like your phone camera, you just do a eye scan and it tells you, it predicts if you are going to get a cardiac disease in the sense, let's say a heart attack. Okay? And it will tell you whether it is going to happen in 12, 18 or 24 months. And obviously it does the eye scan and tries to play with the AI model that it has been trained for. And I must tell you that it is more than 90% accurate. So why not just get eye scan done and that's it. No need of any diagnostic other tools or any invasive procedures at all. So you can do that. These people have already devised this X-ray technique. And if you were to just do a quick X-ray of even a lung, it will tell you what kind of a lesion is there, in which lobe, in what location, etc. Now, all this are enhanced by AI. It's not that the doctor who is looking at the images, he cannot make out what is what. But the decision making is much faster and simpler. And that is how the help of AI has been taken. If I move to the surgical field, the robots that we have designed currently, we have few robots. One is for orthopedics that does knee replacement surgeries. Again, in India, close to 500,000 knee replacements happen. As an organization, Merrill is a market leader in that. And we are even market leaders in the robotics because there are more than 250 robots that are deployed currently across various hospitals in India. Now this also has an AI. Typically a CT scan is done. And if one had to plan the surgery, it might take an hour to do that. While the surgery itself is just an hour. Why does one spend 1 hour to just plan the surgery? With the application of AI, the type of the knee, the deformity in the knee, the kind of structures that are around, everything is mapped by AI, and then you just import the images. It will tell you 2 minutes, planning is done. Now that's how AI helps. If we move to surgical robotics, where the surgeries are done with robot, majorly, again, 40% of surgeries in urology are done, 40% is urological workload. And if we talk about any surgery like a partial nephrectomy or things, there are AI enhanced imaging techniques which are available. There is a technology called ICG, and the AI enhances those images so that something which the surgeon cannot otherwise see, despite having a great enhanced imaging, endoscope and 3-chip camera and so on and so forth. But yet the images can be enhanced, they can be in different colors. So sometimes there are structures which you need not be touching. For example, you cannot touch or damage a nerve in the surgery. So those are highlighted and enhanced very nicely. So there's a big role that AI has. And all of this, I think if we are able to push the pedal in the right direction and make it happen, I think right now I would say that it is a stage of seeding. Need was always there, but seeding is what is happening right now. And then I see no reason why with our own technocrats around, we cannot really do the needful with AI and robotics and can become a capital of that as well as a country.
Awesome, awesome, Manish. So, panelists, an open question to all of you as we come towards the end of the session, and before I open it up for Q&A from the audience. India as a market is being spoken about everywhere, right? The size of our population, the talent pool availability that we have here, the government policies, the stable government, the the entrepreneurial spirit that has taken off its startup ecosystem and all that. So if you look at the strengths of India, and if you want to be a key player in the technology space, what would be your guidance on how do we harness this strength and be a key player globally? Sasi, maybe you can.
Maybe I can go first. So, in my 25 years of experience, I started my career in a GCC for a bigger like OEM. Then I've always worked in various OEM companies, more of Western world companies, but being in India, I see that there is a huge change from where the companies came here just for the engineers here who are capable but a lot more cheaper. So that has made a big transformation into some of the areas where our engineers in India has a lot more deeper capability and experience than even the engineers or the team sitting on the Western world. So I think that is a big, remarkable achievement, I would say, what we have developed in India so far. And it can be certainly, we talked about the AML and digital world. We have an edge because India is a hub for millions of engineers who can sort of develop a lot of these applications across industry. Beyond that, the technology shift, particularly in aerospace, is that when the next generation aircraft comes up, I would say a huge percentage of contribution will come from the Indian engineers in developing those next generation systems. It could be coming up with a design concept to build a prototype and enable for certification of these products, and then also look at how this product can perform in the field. So I see this huge opportunity in the aerospace domain, and as it grows, if you come to Bangalore, which is the capital for all these aerospace R&D companies, any company you name in globally, so they have a lot more new companies are coming and setting up in India. It's mainly to tap into the deep expertise what we have in building these next generation products, which are a lot more just not mechanical, a lot more electromechanical, with electronics and software taking a lead in those mechanical systems.
Anand, from agri-tech standpoint,
Yeah.
how can we be the leader?
You see, innovation happens at the interface always. And we are experts, India is expert in IT sector, India is expert in biotech sector. IT and BT are two key things that India has. And it's important that they have cross collaborations with other segments. So for example, IT partnering with agri industry to design models, predictable models, or AI tools, which can be useful for, they can provide as a service. And biotechnology working with, for example, for agri sector, modifying the whole concept of utilizing less fertilizers. How can we biotechnologically develop those kind of plants using CRISPR technology? That was something in the morning they said, but same CRISPR technology applied to, and so it's at the interface that innovations do happen, and that would be really great to see new things coming. And the best thing would be a collaboration between, it's always good to have, industry is good in product development, academics is good in fundamental research. I believe that if they collaborate at a much higher level, that would definitely result in a much, in CSIR, agri institutes, all of them coming together for a cause. So that would be used.
Luis, how can India leverage its strength to be a leader?
Well, of course, staying a little bit within the IPR field, I also just wanted to comment on, you were talking about leapfrogging before, right? And by fostering a culture of respect for innovation, of strong IP rights, India will be able to a much greater degree to collaborate internationally, to pick the brains of some of the people who went before and develop and innovate on that. And that is, I think, there is so much human potential in India, and you have, with the huge number of STEM graduates you have, and so on and so forth, you have all of the capabilities in your hand. You need just to grasp for it and to take the advantage of the world also opening up and being interested in India, because that's happening a lot around the world if you just look. So find a way to maybe eliminate some of those doubts that is still there in the community of the world, and then take the knowledge that is being shared with you and develop your own things and become the leader based on that. No need to repeat the mistakes that other people made in previous times, right? That would be my advice.
Thank you, Luis. Manish?
Yeah, so, I feel that it has to be a combination of even frugal innovation for that matter, and that with true innovation. And as a global chief marketing officer, I keep moving across countries and continents. I still see that India, whatever developmental things that we take on, we are way ahead in terms of our thought process in various ways. Building capacities is also one of our biggest requirements here in India, and then I would refer this to maybe producing high quality med devices. Yeah? So just to give a simple example, even if we talk about a stent, if you are on a cath lab table getting a stent done for yourself, how many would just say, okay, yes, I am okay with an Indian stent? Now that is a barrier which we have to even overcome, and I think as an organization we have had, these brand ambassadors like MS Dhoni and things who try and propagate that, yeah, there can't be any stigma around a Make in India product, because we are making very high quality devices. So I think whether it is stents, whether it is heart valves, whether it is some technologies like clipping, MyClip, which is for a mitral valve repair, surgical robotics, I think, and then these AI-enabled devices, we have the potential. Developing it, manufacturing it, scaling it, and then becoming a leader and providing those technologies outside of the country is what will make us a big powerhouse.
And if I may just add one small comment to that, because I think you do have a point in India also producing high quality, developing high quality products, but it may not be recognized in the world at large. And I think one of the ways to sort of get over that hurdle is, again, the collaboration, the international collaboration. So instead of working on the Indian standards, look at the work together with the international standards organizations and make sure that the products are certified according to the international standards organizations. I think that's a big part of this.
Yeah, I'll take that. So just to answer and add what you said. So when a product is developed, I won't say, we have the best of doctors. I have no doubt about it. But we collaborate with even doctors across the globe. And we may have the best of surgeons in Europe and US with whom we collaborate. We may have the best of cardiologists. So for example, the heart valve that today we are third largest player in that across the globe after Edwards and Medtronic. MyWall is the name of the product. We are third largest in the world. How does that happen? I mean, obviously, we collaborated with a cardiologist in United States, and it was just by sheer luck, I would say, and of course, we are in the field. So there's this hospital called Eternal Hospital in Jaipur. And the cardiologist, who is an Indian origin, owns that hospital. He actually practices in New York. Maybe once a month, he comes 2 or 3 days in India and does few cases in Jaipur. So knowing that he is a master at aortic valve, we collaborated with him. And that was just beginning of the journey. So obviously, when it comes to a first-in-man also, we performed that first-in-man as well at his center in his hands, because he was involved in the development, so he is confident that nothing will happen to the patient. So safety of patient is prime, and it is taken care of. So likewise, we have been collaborating with, let's say, doctors on one side and with IITs on the other side for technology, because it has to be both ways. A technology should be an enabler to understand and reproduce what the doctors want. So that is how we are doing. And as you rightly said, so products, they're not just Indian FDA approved, they are also certified European. With the newer regulation, they are all CE MDR, if I call it, which is a tough thing again. And a lot of products are US FDA approved as well. So that brings credibility. Yet I'm saying that there is still a bit of stigma. However, you know, we, as an organization, we don't want to push our envelope and say, okay, no, this has to be done, this has to be done. But we are happy because almost 50% of our product revenues, they come from outside India. So that's how it is.
So
Yeah.
Piyush, just want to add on the innovation. I know when it comes to innovation, very difficult to compete with the healthcare kind of examples he has quoted. But from an aerospace, particularly coming to Collins Aerospace, I just want to give a success story of how we have tapped into the creative brain of our Indian engineers. Over last 7 years, we ran a very structured framework of aligning the problems with our technology roadmap, and then running very dedicated events, engaging all the levels. The fresh engineer into the company, all the way to the SMEs in the organization, rallying around those problems and come up with innovative ideas. And also, we take those ideas through the process and get into the patents and recognize them, with a global standard. So that created a huge momentum in the organization for last 7 years. As an outcome, I can proudly say that in last 7 years, Collins from India, we have about 1,200 patents filed, and I'm confident all of these patents will get into the global products in the next few years. So.
Excellent, excellent. So with that, we'll open it up for maybe 2-3 questions. Yeah, I think we have one hand raised. We have actually 2 hands raised, so if someone can give a microphone to them.
Hi, good afternoon. My question is for Shashi. What, in your view, will it take for incubation and institutionalization for product mindset in this country? For a generation since 1991 reforms, for 30 years, India always had and has and continues to need to have the human capital. We now have a mature private equity, venture capital, risk capital also is there. So what explains the lack of product mindset at the scale that we used to have? Thank you.
Yeah. I think that's a very valid point. In my experience, I could see that, where we have to focus on, I think we have done quite a lot in building the capability, the foundational capability required to develop products. But when it comes to taking the products at the system level, understanding the bigger picture and bringing everything sort of put together and then see that this can work in a larger, the larger scale like aerospace, is something which we have a sort of an area to focus on. And that could be because of our closeness to the product. We don't really have many of these big products are being manufactured in India for aerospace, though this is coming. But our engineers always worked sort of a back-end office over the time, right? So that limits their exposure to the real product for them, that they are not able to visualize at a bigger scale, right? So that's one thing. As well as the market. When it comes to aerospace, I think India market is picking up a lot. And both of our leading airliners have placed more than 1,500 aircraft. So 10 years from now, India will become major commercial aviation player. And so that will also bring in more products closer to our engineers who can think much bigger.
Hi, my name is Ankit Kashyap. I started my career as a hacker and represented India across all the tech competitions across Europe. So I'm gonna mention 2 points. First will be a statement and second will be a question. So first statement is, I think Louis mentioned that India is getting started in that direction of technology. Darling, we are already there. It's just our companies are busy outsourcing the technologies, right, to the Western world. Second, my question is, see, when we talk about AtmaNirbhar, this is to the leaders of the industry that we're talking about. See, most of the products, AI products that are coming now, are backed on the models that are developed over the years by Western companies, like let's say OpenAI, built on top of those APIs. How are we becoming AtmaNirbhar, independent in that section? How are we planning that? Because if our legislature changed in some part of the world, it will just impact drastically, and all the products. So how are we becoming independent in that? Yeah, that's my question.
It's a great point actually, and I think one of the dilemma that is there in terms of how do you make your own foundation models. Now, what we have understood from the tech side of things is it's very expensive at this point in time to build foundation models. Government of India obviously has done AI mission, and we have few startups like Sarvam.ai and all who are trying to build Indian foundation models funded by the Government of India. But I think it's the kind of resources that we need and the kind of resources that you need to really run it, I don't think so we are there yet, which is why we are going to be over-dependent on the Western world from those models. And where India is going to leverage its strength a lot more in terms of application of those models. I think the way the tech industry is evolving on AI front, particularly around generative AI and agentic AI, is how do we become an application factory? Now, this is also on the back of a very strong service network that we have had for the last 2-3 decades. I think we need to give credit to the Indian IT services, the way the entire software services space that they have dominated. It gives us a lever to how do we become a factory for AI applications, which is where a lot of this AI will actually be beneficial. Right now, ChatGPT is just a consumer tool, but I think the real money for even ChatGPT is going to come when the businesses start looking at that, and that's where IT integration will happen. So to answer your question, to summarize, I think foundation models, I think there is some distance for us to travel because of the cost element to it, and I think Louise touched upon the energy part of it as well, which we are not there yet in terms of supporting that. But on the other side, I think given the kind of talent and experience we have, AI application definitely I think will be one of the leaders, the way I see it. Yeah, one last question, please. I think we have a hand there. If the organizers allow us 1 more minute.
Hello. I'll just continue from the point that you have said that India still is relying upon a lot of consulting organizations, and a lot of brain drains are happening from there also, right? Which could have been, joining many startups and all of those kind of stuff. We could have built a foundation model with minimum, support from government, given the fact that a lot of those people who can build those things are not already working for those Western companies, even being a part of an Indian company like TCS or Infosys, for that matter.
Yeah, I think one last question. I think gentleman here had. I think we are out of time. We'll take one last question, and then we'll have to wrap up. He was also? Okay.
Myself Neeraj Tyagi, and I am a safety head in Delhi government power plants, and also
I had been examiner in patent department also years ago, and I am a poet also. You can search me in Google, poet Neeraj Tyagi. So as far as AI is concerned, a lot of talks is about AI. If we are using research work with the help of AI, that is not the human contribution, and you are granting the patent that is not through human contribution. So there is an ethical question. Is this valid? This patent will be valid. And reverse also, examiners will use the AI tools for checking claims. There may be some inaccuracies in finding the novelties. So, is there any solution for these things?
I think a lot of this is, of course, still up for debate, but as for the way we're looking at it in Denmark currently, is that, well, first of all, you can use AI to help you create an invention or something, but at the end of the day, we are still at a stage where you, the user, the human user, is actually instructing the AI to create something. And that's where, at least in our view, the rights would then be. It wouldn't, the AI doesn't come up with this completely out of the blue on its own. It needs some sort of prompt, as it is today. I'm not saying that that won't change in future, but today, that's how it is. And in terms of examiners using AI tools, well, they do, and I think they will, to an increasing degree, do that more and more in the years to come. But we are not, I think all of us have heard enough stories about the number of bees in blueberries and various answers to 2 + 2 and whatever you may think, to know that AI is not foolproof. And I think we still have a long way to go before we can even think about replacing patent examiners or any other human being in, at the very least, the fact-checking of whatever the AI is putting out. And I think that's where we are at the moment.
Thank you. No, we are seriously out of time. I think we'll take time from the next session. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, panelists. I think it was very insightful. You heard it from the experts. We are, as a country, at a pivotal time. I think exciting developments happening in the private sector, in the public sector, in academia. I think we just need to believe in ourselves that we can be a global leader, and I'm sure we will achieve that. With that, I'd like to thank the CII for giving us this platform to share our point of view with all of you, and wish you a good today and tomorrow, the rest of today and tomorrow. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, panel members, for giving a good introduction and also the detailing about the session. May I now request for a group photograph, please? I would request to please come step forward and have a group photograph. Thank you so much once again. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have another round of session in just 2 minutes. Would request you all to please be seated. Thank you.